Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers at the voice of college football. I'm here with my fantastic co host, Gabriel Pickup. We have a great show here for you tonight. We're going to be talking first about the updated pro football focus grades for the Scarlet Knights who are entering the NFL draft. Then we're going to be talking about who is going to be the starting quarterback for the Scarlet Knights next year, particularly because we have some star players entering the portal. And then we're going to end up with what are the most three important things that Rutgers has to address in the offseason to have a successful season next year. So let's start up with the updated pro football focus grades. Gabe, take it away.
Yeah, so how's everyone doing out there? Happy Hanukkah if you're celebrating it currently, and happy or Merry Christmas, should I say, in about a week and a half, and Happy New Year too. But let's talk about these PFF grades. Pro Football Focus has updated their big board today, and the most recent update has Ian Strong as pick 42 in the second round of the NFL draft. Ethan Kaliakmanis at pick 229. Last year, there were 257 picks in total, so it has him going on day 3 in the final round. Eric O'Neill picked 262, so he's probably at about a 50-50 chance to get drafted. But I want to talk about Ian Strong and Ethan Kaliakmanis because they shined wearing scarlet red. And Adam, I'm curious about your opinions. So let's start off with Ian Strong, pick 42. He is a junior. He has another year of eligibility. He has 3 options here. Well, realistically, everybody has unlimited options, but 3 options that are most taken when you're primed to be pick 42. You can either declare for the draft, be possibly a first-round pick no later than 3rd or 4th, but hovering around the mid-second round. You can stay at Rutgers and have another year with, at this point, an unknown QB1. It could be AJ Suris. It could be transfer quarterback. It could be one of the backups on the roster if AJ were to get injured, God forbid. Or he could do the third option, which is to enter the transfer portal. So if you're Ian Strong, Rutgers bias aside, I mean, you can still vouch for Rutgers 100%, but what would you do?
Well, I think Ian Strong, first order of business, he has to get an accurate draft projection. Now, if he was going to go in the first round, there's no reason for him to stay at Rutgers and stay at the college level. I don't think he is going to be drafted in the first round. I think it's more likely that he's going to be a late second round or a third round. Given that, I think he should come back, okay, because he has a substantial chance to increase his draft stock. And if he comes back, I think that he should stay at Rutgers because he's going to know that he's one or two. Him and KJ Duff are going to be the stars in that wide receiving core. If he transfers to another school, if he goes to SEC or another Big Ten school, he's going to be going to another school. He's going to have to adjust to their offensive scheme, and there's no guarantee that he will play the same degree to which he does at Rutgers. So I think he should stay at Rutgers, and given what I project will be probably late second or third round, Ian Strong should stay at Rutgers, and he should play one more year. And if he does that, I think he has a chance of increasing his stock, and that's what I would do.
Yeah, well, I was looking at the NFL draft from 2025, and those second or third round wide receivers, a lot of them made an instant impact, even if they didn't get first round wide receiver money. You still got Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State going to the Texans in the second round. You got Luther Burden, who just had his best career game yesterday, out of Missouri, going pick 39 to the Bears. You scroll down a little bit. Trey Harris went to the Chargers, pick 55. Jack Beck, who, he has that really sad story with his brother, and may his brother rest in peace. But Jack Beck out of TCU, pick 58 to the Raiders. Very bittersweet moment for him in the second round. And so that's all the second round picks, and they all made instant impacts on their team. Third round, if Ian Strong were to slip to the third round, Kyle Williams, he's drafted to the Patriots, not getting a ton of playing time, but in a great situation. Isaac Tesla, who has had a really good year for the Lions in the third round with pick 70. Pat Bryant hasn't had too much of an impact out of Illinois for the Broncos. Jalen Noel has had an impact for the Texans. Savion Williams for the Packers. So, Ty Felton for the Vikings. These are all guys that have found a role. And I think if Ian Strong were to be in the second or third round, of course he would have a role too. He's too physical, too gifted, and he's a target machine. When he plays, he gets targets, he converts the targets. It's very similar to KJ Duff in that aspect. So I think that if I were Ian Strong and I had a future that I've been working my whole life that is coming creepily close to me, I would take the shot and I would declare for the draft. But as long as he doesn't transfer, I'll be happy. If you can't be mad at Rutgers representing in the NFL draft, and you can't be mad at a player coming back for another year, please don't leave us, Ian.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to leave Rutgers because he's got 1 year left, and if he wanted to stay and increase his draft stock, transferring to another program, learning a new offensive scheme, and taking a chance that he'll be among the top 2 receivers on the team is just too risky. But I think one thing that concerns me is that unlike Luther Burden and the other wideouts you talked about, Ian didn't have a great year this year. Not through any fault of his own. He was injured, fairly substantially.
He had his share of weeks though.
Yeah, but he did have it. He did, but I think that when I look at his performance, I still don't see him becoming a wide receiver in the NFL yet. I think he has more development to go, and 1 more year at Rutgers, I think, will benefit him. Now, what's really going to happen? I think he's going to go into the NFL draft, and I think that's what he wants to do. And I think that, like you said, he's been working for it his whole life. So I look for him to be probably late second or third round, probably. And I hope that he's successful, but I think for his draft stock in the long term, it would be better if he took 1 more year to really show himself out at Rutgers.
Yeah, like I said, as long as he doesn't transfer, I'll be happy. And last year, he did have 52 catches, 762 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And that was, I believe he missed 2 games, possibly 2.5 games, because I think he got hurt. It was against Oregon, I believe.
Yeah.
And he only had – look, the only thing that concerns me about his draft status – or not status, his draft ranking – is against the 2 toughest defenses we faced this year, he had a combined 2 catches for 15 yards.
I was just about to say that when it comes to KJ and Ian, when we played very good defenses, they didn't get the kind of separation, certainly not the kind of receptions. If they can't do that against those defenses, what does that tell you about their draft stock and how they're going to perform? I just think that, look, it's very tempting for someone who's close to getting drafted to the NFL to say, I want to go now. But sometimes you got to play the long game. And I think for him, he needs 1 more year. But I do not think he will take another year, and I suspect he'll go into the draft.
So I got a pop quiz for you. I know that you are a teacher, and I don't know what's your stance on pop quizzes. Are you for them or against them?
I never give pop quizzes, but I'm happy to take one myself.
All right. Good professor. When was the last time Rutgers had a first-round draft pick in football?
Oh, gosh.
And who was it?
I don't know. I want to say Kyle Monangai, but I know he was not first-round pick. I'm trying to – what about the other running back, the Chiefs running back?
Pacheco?
Yeah.
Pacheco, like Monangai, was drafted in the 7th round.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know. It was 15 years ago, and it was 2 of them, Anthony Davis, Devin McCourty.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So we've had some day 2 representation since then. We had Mohamed Sanu, 2012, Logan Ryan, 2012, Daron Harmon, 2012, or 2013 rather. We had Tyler Croft, 2015, Leonte Carew, 2016, Kamoko Toure, 2018, and Max Melton, 2024. But we have not had a day 1 pick since 2010. And look, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but if you're projected 42, there is a chance that you can get drafted in the first round.
Yeah, and I think also, What's really incredible about Rutgers is that I'm sorry, not Rutgers, but Kyle Monangai, is that we're talking a seventh round, and he's now starting, or at least having a substantial role, and really doing very well for the Bears. So the round you're drafting is not always a predictor of what will happen, but I do think that I don't see Ian Strong making the kind of impact in the NFL that he would if he took one more year. But he's going to go, I think, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and who knows how he does for the combine or whatever private workouts he has. He has a chance to shoot into the first round for sure. Now, the second guy I wanted to talk about, Ethan Kaliakmanis. Now, last week we were saying that we thought Ethan would be a UDFA and probably get a workout, be on a practice squad, possibly make a roster, and that his peak would be maybe QB2, and if a quarterback gets injured, he would play. Well, PFF has him pick 229, which means they have him projected to be drafted. So this is good news because that means that outside of Rutgers, he's being taken seriously, and that's not always the case with Rutgers quarterbacks.
Yeah. So Ethan Kaliakmanis, he is what I would call a very intriguing prospect. First of all, Ethan has the intangibles. All right, he's a great team player. He plays with a lot of grit and a lot of intelligence. He's tough, and he's a great leader for the team. So he has the intangibles. Now, when it comes to the physical attributes, I thought that his arm strength improved substantially this year, as did his accuracy, as evidenced in his completion percentage. And I also thought he did a good job of going through his reads and was much better, delivering the ball under pressure. So I think the physical attributes have certainly improved. Now, how is that going to translate to the NFL? I'm not sure. I don't necessarily see him as a top flight draft pick, but I do think that with his combination of intangibles, his work ethic, his grit, his leadership, plus what I saw from him, especially in the Penn State game, was accuracy, great timing on his passes. He was better under pressure, and I think consistently all year you saw that in a higher completion percentage. So currently, I think 229 is probably accurate. I see him right now as a backup in the NFL, but a capable backup. And you never know. Things could change where he eventually gets some playing time in the NFL. But I think where he's situated now is probably accurate.
Look, I don't want to compare him to one guy and throw one guy under the spotlight, but it came to mind 2 weeks ago when the Vikings, Carson Wentz got hurt, J.J. McCarthy, number 9, wasn't back yet. And they had Max Brosmer out there out of Minnesota, and he started for Minnesota, I believe, 1 year, and he had pretty poor stats, and then he went and played like one of the worst performances I've seen. And if Max Brosmer can play in the NFL, Ethan Kaliakmanis can find his way to the NFL. This year, he improved by 8.3% completion percentage. He had 478 more yards passing. I had to do some improvisation math there. 1.7 more yards per attempt, 2 more touchdowns, same amount of interceptions. And he had a rating of 147.7, which is 25 points higher than he's ever had. So this was far and away a career year. Perfect trajectory for him headed to the NFL. If you're going to have a career year in college, you want it to be your last year. Look at Cam Ward. He went from a guy no one had on his radar to getting drafted first overall after one great year with Miami. And Ethan is not going to be a day 1 guy. He's probably not going to be a day 2 guy. I believe there's he's going to hover around the day 3. And I do think that a team will draft him in the 7th round because that's the 7th round is where you want to draft based on potential instead of risk. If someone is high risk in the 7th round, who cares? It's a 7th round pick. It's the same value as a UDFA. But if you know that a guy has potential in the 7th round, you draft him. That's why it's not the 7th round, but that's why with Shedeur Sanders last year, he fell in the draft because everyone was worried about his attitude. How's it going, Pit Snipe Husker? It's been a minute. I'm sorry to hear about your quarterback hitting the portal. We are going to get into that in a minute. But what I was saying is Shedeur Sanders, people were worried about his attitude or his commitment. So he slid. understandably so. But eventually, in round 5, people said, look, it's round 5. He's got a ton of potential. Is he a risk? Absolutely. But could he pay off? Of course he could. So he's going to get drafted. Now, Ethan doesn't have the attitude problem, but what he does have is the decision-making questionability, the consistency, but he has the talent. So eventually, I think it gets to a point where the reward of being a power thrower, having one of the best arms, it outweighs the risk.
Yeah, well, when I look at Ethan, I think, all right, let's start first with his strengths. Like we said, he has the intangibles. He's a great team player, plays with grit. He's a great leader. Physical attributes. He does have a much stronger arm, in my opinion, than I've seen in the past. Very accurate, makes good decisions. Now, what are the weaknesses? The weaknesses are number one, how is he going to adjust to the speed of the NFL? Can he throw receivers open? Can he fit the ball in tight windows and make anticipatory throws? How is he going to handle the pressure in the NFL, particularly given that he's not a very mobile quarterback? Yeah. So I think the NFL is going to look at the intangibles, but I also think they're going to look at the how he's going to project. And I think that those weaknesses are going to probably lead to, maybe a 6th, 7th round pick. But in terms of what he can do in the NFL, I think that he's a developmental pick, and I think that he'll serve as a backup, 2nd or 3rd string for a few years. And if he keeps making progress, who knows what can happen in the future.
Yeah, and I think the Indianapolis Colts proved that you don't need mobility at quarterback, and someone will still give you a chance. After playing Phillip Rivers yesterday, what the hell was that? I am all for it because it's a crazy story, but 44-year-old man hasn't played in the NFL in 5 years, wasn't great 5 years ago, comes in and has himself a not terrible game. He did not look good throwing the ball at all, in my opinion, but hey, he didn't make mistakes. So, Ethan, if you want to make it to the league, just tone down the mistakes. That's all we ask of you. Now, that is it for the PFF big board of players that are in line to get drafted. That doesn't mean that Gus Zilinskas, that Eric O'Neill, that DT Sheffield won't get drafted or won't be in the NFL. That's just based on the projections that are currently there.
Yeah, and I think, when we're talking about Ethan, it's similar to how we were talking about Ian Strong. I just don't know if they're ready yet. And I know, of course, Ethan doesn't have any eligibility. But I think that in terms of projections, a team is going to have to look at Ethan and say, look, he has those intangibles. He has, strengths in terms of, his accuracy, his completion percentage. But where the rubbers are going to meet the road is, can he adjust to the NFL? And here's the issue. Just like Ian Strong and KJ Duff, with Ethan, they didn't perform well against elite competition in the Big Ten. And I think
KJ Duff did.
I mean, did he really against Ohio State? I don't think so. I mean, he was.
Yeah, no one did, though, against Ohio. I mean, Ohio State, I only mentioned them because they're the top in the top 2 of defenses like Oregon and Ohio State. That was our top 2 defenses faced. But to me, Ohio State is just such an asterisk for facing them on their defense because they, I believe, had the 3rd fewest points per game in FBS history.
Yeah, that's true. But again, I just do wonder how NFL scouts are going to look at the fact that against the league competition, they did struggle. Now, let's be fair to Ethan, though. I mean, he's not just playing Ohio State himself. He's got an offensive line that struggled and receivers that weren't getting separation. So that'll be taken into account. At the end of the day, I really, really like him. I think he's a really great person. I mean, I really do. I mean, he really played his heart out against Penn State. And, when he dropped the football when they were driving, hopefully to make it a 2-score lead, the reporters asked Greg Schiano, what did you say to Ethan? He said, I told him I loved him. And that's really summed him up.
Sweet.
It is. Because
it makes me respect Schiano so much more.
Yeah, it does make me respect Schiano. I always have. But I'll tell you, that's how special Ethan was to Rutgers. Yeah, he made a mistake, but there was no criticism coming his way because he had put his heart and soul into that team. And for that, I know Rutgers fans will always be grateful, and I certainly wish him the best and hope he succeeds in the NFL.
Yeah, that's enough to make a grown man cry right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it for those two. Now, we got some news about a particular thing that goes on this time of year that is pretty frequent, and that is players announcing they are hitting the transfer portal. And the most vital position, the quarterback. So we got some options here. Would you like to announce each one? I know we have 4 that hit the portal in the past 24 hours that are of worthy.
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic because, with Ethan leaving, the presumption is going to be that AJ Sarace, who performed extremely well in the spring game and was capable in the time that he was put in there, is going to be the starting quarterback next year. But I don't think that that's something that we should just assume automatically, because we want competition at the position and we want to get the best players we can at each position. So, having said that, we've got some people who have entered the transfer portal that have some talent. And that begins with Nebraska and Dylan Raiola leaving the Cornhuskers. He's
Possibly.
on. Yeah, and then the Florida Gators, DJ Lagway, who showed so much promise last year, regressed this year. He's also on the market. And can't forget Michigan State's Aiden Childs, who showed promise too and has some mobility. So does Rutgers have a chance at these 3? Should Greg Schiano be interested? Can they challenge AJ for the starting position? And who will be at the helm next year? What do you think?
Well, funny enough, so first off, DJ Lagway, I've been harping on him all year, and most of it's been, jokes, but I did mean that I thought that Ethan was better than him. I don't think that he even touches Piscataway campus for a visit, and that is because he has a certain coach that just got hired in Louisiana at LSU. We're already recruiting him, and when you have Lane Kiffin recruiting you, even if his PR did take a little bit of a hit because of how he handled leaving Ole Miss, you don't look at a team towards the bottom half of the Big Ten. So I don't think that DJ Lagway even thinks about Rutgers, and in turn, I don't think that he would be the best option for us next year at quarterback anyways.
Yeah, I don't think that DJ Lagway from Florida or Dylan Raiola from Nebraska, I don't think they're going to go to Rutgers. I think that they would see it as a step down from the teams that they were in. I think the whole purpose of being in the portal is, number one, they want to be on a team that's going to win. Number two, they want to be on a team that they're going to get developed, they're going to play, they're going to increase their draft stock. So what does that mean? Well, when you talk about LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, he regressed this year, and his backup, Michael Van Buren, was average. He was a mobile quarterback, but certainly was not spectacular. So there's an opening at LSU for a number 1 quarterback. Now, do you think Lane Kiffin is going to look at Raiola and Lagway and say, I want to get them for my number 1 guy? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to land at LSU. I think they're going to land I think Raiola is going to go to another Big Ten program. I also think Lagway could possibly go to a school like Arizona State or somewhere out west. I think Lagway has great potential, but he did regress this year, and he needs to be in a program where he's going to develop. But I don't think he's going to be successful in the SEC or in the Big Ten. So I could see him going to a Big 12 school. Now, as far as Aiden Childs is the one outside shot we have in terms of recruiting a transfer, because he's at Michigan State, not a great program. He has raw talent, but still needs some development. And he could probably succeed at Rutgers. And I don't know if Aiden Childs is going to get recruited by the kind of teams that Raiola and Lagway will. So I do think there's an outside chance for Aiden at Rutgers, but we're going to have to pay him some money and really recruit him hard. Otherwise, he'll probably go to another Big 10 or a Big 12 school. But we're in the running for Aiden Childs. We're not in the running for the Lagway and Raiola.
Well, Sean thinks that I should hit the portal too and get out of New Jersey and eating the pasta. Maybe getting away from Rutgers Voice of College Football or joining another Voice of College Football. But no, I'm very happy here. And one other guy I do think would be very happy here, not DJ Lagway. And speaking of DJ Lagway, that was part of the big reason that Florida was trying to so hard put Lane Kiffin in their prospects, or not their prospect, their vision for the future, trying to sell him on it was because of DJ Lagway. But that didn't happen. And now I think Lane Kiffin is in turn saying, hey, maybe you can come here. Now, he did have a bad year, but everybody knows that he was a very good raw prospect coming out of high school. You're right. Aiden Childs would 100% be a very nice, realistic option for us. And Rutgers is a step up from Michigan State in terms of past few years, how they've each been performing. I'm not ruling out Mr. Dylan Ravioli, man, because I think that if there's any way you want to insert yourself as a serious team, not just on the field, but off of it, you throw all your money at a guy who already has a ton of clout because of his Patrick Mahomes physical look comparison. And he's not too bad of a quarterback. Now, I have been very critical of him, mostly joking, of course, but he does have, I believe it is 18 touchdowns. Yeah, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, which is a drastic improvement from 13 and 11 the year prior. His rating went from 130 to 158.6. I feel like I don't really need to sell his talent, but what I do want to do is say that it does sort of make sense that a guy who has the swagger, he likes embracing being the focal point of a team. Why not bring him to the Northeast where everybody scrutinizes and he doesn't mind scrutinization? He's willingly put himself in the limelight, and I feel like it would be a good fit. I also feel like our rivals to the southwest of us in State College, Pennsylvania, might try to take a gander at him. But I do think that Dylan Raiola, if he were to consider us, it's sort of be like what we saw out of Jared Smith when it was between us, Georgia Tech, and Auburn. And everyone's like, why is Rutgers in the mix? Well, there's a certain reason Rutgers is in the mix, and therefore I'm happy about it, because if we're not being taken seriously, we're not in someone's Final Four with those elite teams. I think as long as Raiola considers us, there's a way we can sell it to him to come to Piscataway. So obviously, Aiden Childs, great quarterback, and I would love to get him. But if it comes down to it, I would certainly go all in on Dylan Raiola. And if we don't get Dylan Raiola, I would love Drew Testamaker too, who hasn't declared, portal or anything like that. But out of North Texas, he had a phenomenal year, and he's going to have some teams throwing him some offers. I believe he just finished his freshman year. If we don't get Raiola, which I would assume we don't, because that's just a shot in the dark, and we don't get Aiden Childs either, and we don't get Drew Testamaker, I would be okay with now Zane Flores out of Oklahoma State. He had a rough year, but what I do like is that he had 59% completion percentage, and that's higher than Ethan had up until this past year. And his touchdown to interception ratio, that can be fixed with good coaching, which we have in Kirk Shiroka and we have in Greg Schiano. I don't think that Zane Flores would be number one. I would give that to Suris, but Zane Flores would be a pretty solid quarterback too.
Yeah, and the thing about the transfers is this. If we bring in a transfer quarterback, we're bringing them in to start. And I think AJ Suris will transfer. I don't think he's going to spend another year as a backup. But when it comes to Raiola, two things I think would dictate the decision. Number one, how much are we paying him? And number two, Ian Strong and KJ Duff, because he's not going to transfer to a school unless he looks at the roster and the wideouts especially and says, these receivers can make me a star. If Ian Strong or KJ Duff leaves, he's not going to come here because he's not going to think he has the wideouts to assist him. So I would say at this point,
and Zach is a damn good receiver too.
He is, but I think that for Raiola to make a transfer to Rutgers, which was 5-7 this year, he's going to feel like I want financial security and I want 2 or 3 wideouts that are going to enable me to be at the top of the Big Ten in passing. So I just think there's too much uncertainty for him.
You don't think that if Ian declares for the draft, but we throw a boatload of money at KJ Duff to stay, you don't think that his catch against Penn State, his numbers all year being all Big Ten is enough for Dylan Raiola to see him and say, there's a legitimate future NFL Pro Bowl wide receiver I can throw to?
No, I don't think it's enough. I think he wants to see more depth and he wants to see more targets, especially he knows the competition in the Big Ten. We're going against elite teams. KJ Duff is not enough. We need 3, even 4 receivers that are going to give him options. And I just don't think at this point, I just don't see Raiola either getting the money and thinking that he can develop in the way that he wants to. I think he's going to go somewhere else.
I'm curious what we do at tight end with
that's a good
with
point.
Kenny Fletcher and Colin Weber gone now. And Kenny, I don't think Kenny's getting drafted, but I think he could be a future tight end 2 or 3, possibly tight end 1 if players.
I thought it was, yeah, I agree with that. You know, I don't know who we're going to get at tight end, and that'll be part of our final segment, which is about, you know, the 3 things that are critical to do in the offseason. But, you know, in terms of my guess is going to be that Schiano is not going to go for a quarterback. I think he's going to stay with A.J. Surace. I haven't seen enough of A.J. Surace to know what we are likely to see. But what concerns me is that next year we'll be starting a quarterback who's never started before, and potentially with a wide receiving core that's depleted due to either transferring or going to the NFL. And I think that could be a problem. And God forbid Antoine Raymond leaves. That could be trouble.
We already lost Samuel Brown. We lost C.J. Campbell. So it would I don't know. I mean, running back's a weird position. Would you go out and get someone, or would you stick with Deshaun Benjamin?
I think he should go out and get more depth at running back. And I think he's probably
we could also have Mike Dukes coming in next year. Could be RB2. You know, he's best running back in Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly true. But I would like to see someone with at least college-level experience. And I don't think going after a quarterback is wise because there's too many uncertainties with Rutgers on offense.
Well, we went after Athan.
Well, and that's true. But you know what? Athan was a quarterback at Minnesota. So he wasn't Dylan Raiola at that time. He wasn't DJ Lagway at that time. So I think that there was a reasonable probability of getting him and of him being useful to the team.
You know what would be funny?
Yeah.
What if we went and got Drake Lindsay?
Drake, I don't even know who Drake Lindsay is. That's the
guy. He's the guy who torched us when we faced Minnesota.
Oh, he was a Minnesota quarterback?
Yeah, he was the one he was a freshman quarterback, and we made him look like a damn Heisman winner.
Especially in the fourth quarter.
Wouldn't that be funny if we took another Minnesota quarterback?
That would be.
I don't think he would leave, though. I honestly think that they honestly have a good program going now.
Yeah, I don't think he would leave. I just don't think he's going to get a quarterback because the quarterbacks that would want to come here would not be any better than Surace because our offensive pieces are uncertain, and I don't think we have the NIL to get Lagway or Raiola. So it's probably going to be A.J. Surace next year.
Aiden Childs wouldn't be a terrible transition.
I like that call. Yes.
In between Athan and AJ Surace, a year of Childs would not be terrible. I don't think that AJ Surace would automatically leave if we got a transfer senior. If we got a transfer sophomore or junior, yeah, probably. But I don't think a transfer senior would be the final straw for him to leave us.
That's a good point, and you might be right about that. And I think Aiden Childs brings a new dimension to the offense that Athan didn't. And I think with his mobility, it would be nice to have a mobile quarterback at Rutgers who could also throw.
I mean, he doesn't have the arm that Athan did, but like you said, It's dynamic.
But again, when I think about the quarterback position, I think there's so many uncertain pieces on offense. The offensive line has to improve. We're going to probably lose Ian Strong. What quarterback is going to want to come to Rutgers given their performance the last couple of years and what I think is going to be a lack of depth in the wide receiving room? I think it's probably going to end up with AJ, but our best transfer shot would be Aiden Childs.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at Aiden Childs' game log right now, and it wasn't on a game-to-game basis. It seems like he slumped a little bit in the middle of the year between. I want to say between, like, what the hell is YSU? Is that Youngstown?
Washington State University?
No, yeah, Youngstown State.
YSU, Youngstown State.
Yeah, so he didn't have the sexiest of numbers between then and UCLA, but that Indiana game, the second to last game of the year for him, he did play really well, 27 of 33 against a team that held Ohio State to 10 points. He had 243 yards. They had 13 points. He had a touchdown, no interceptions. He only had 3 interceptions all year. 2 of them came in the same game against Nebraska. That was probably his worst game, but even then he had 2 rushing touchdowns. You want to hear an interesting stat line? His last game of the year against Michigan, he had 15 carries for -7 yards and a touchdown.
-7 yards and a touchdown. That must have meant he got sacked 4 times.
I guess so. He had against Indiana, he had a 64-yard run, which you don't see quarterbacks break open too much.
Not against Indiana. What's his touchdown interception ratio?
10. It's 10-3. So that's a pretty good ratio. I mean, look, we're talking about Dylan Raiola, Ethan. They're both less than that.
Yeah, I think Raiola is going to go to Indiana. I think he's going to replace Fernando.
I hate to say it, but my call for Raiola is Penn State. I mean, they lost to them pretty badly, and he wasn't playing, so he got a chance to look back and see a team that went through a lot of adversity, and all of a sudden they're back on the rise.
I think Ethan Grunkmeyer is going to start for Penn State. What I saw from him in the game against Rutgers is he's legit. But you might be right.
He is legit, but everyone's legit against us. And so, yeah, that's it for the quarterbacks, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. Who do you think? Do you think it's going to be AJ Sarace? Maybe a Johnny Shepard comes back. Who do you think is going to be starting for Greg Schiano and this Rutgers offense next year? Let us know.
Yeah, guys, feel free to call in because we don't have all the answers, but we do ask the right questions. So, call in. Let us know what you think. Now, Gabe, it's a little over 2 weeks out since the Penn State game, a game that I attended, and I'll tell you, it was really a heartbreaker, and it's still sad looking back on it because that crowd was really into it, and we had a really amazing chance to win that game in the fourth quarter, and it was really heartbreaking to see them lose and to end the season on that note. So, don't want to dwell on it, of course, but when we look to the offseason, there's got to be a few things that we really start to do immediately to improve the program and avoid what happened this year. So I was thinking, what are the 3 things, your Coach Schiano, that you really want to address immediately? What would they be?
The first thing is you have to determine the quarterback situation before spring practice. There needs to be a solidified QB1, just like there was last year coming into this year. And we saw that with comfortable reps with the first team and a long time to get chemistry and connect in practice, it translated on the field 100%. So we need a quarterback 1 by the spring, if not sooner, if not by mid-January, honestly. Or even say before the transfer portal even starts, hey, AJ Sarace is our guy. We need an answer immediately at quarterback. We cannot be in the dark at quarterback. We're not a school that can afford to do that. We need answers. So that's number 1, is the quarterback situation needs to be 100% clear. Number 2, and this is, I wouldn't classify this as priority 1 because things happen and it's understandable if it doesn't work out this way. But we really need to, and I say need in quotes because it's what any front office of college football would do. We need to retain KJ Duff and we need to retain Antoine Raymond. Those 2 guys were head and toes above everybody else on the Rutgers offense. And that includes Ethan and Ian Strong, who are probable NFL draft picks at this point. Those were the 2 players, Antoine Raymond, the second half of the year, and KJ Duff. They're the ones who carried our offense. When Ian Strong was out, when Ethan would have a rough half, guess who would be there? Antoine Raymond to run the ball 20 yards on a 3rd and 14 where you're just giving up a possession and all of a sudden we get a first down out of it. KJ Duff, who pulls Odell Beckham catches against Penn State. But guess what? We already knew how good he was. We knew how good he was before that. Just the rest of the world found out. And that's number 2 is we need to keep those guys. Number 3, and I cannot stress this enough, we need to get defense quicker rather than later. We can't have – I mean, we saw with 9 out of our 11 starters being transfers this year or last year at this point, how badly there were miscommunications on the field. And so those are my 3 because the longer we wait for another defense from top to bottom, we might look susceptible again. And then firing Rob Smith was just picking a fall guy, and all of a sudden we're going to have a new fall guy. So those are my
No, those are great points. And I think, for me, the number one thing that Rutgers has to address is what I would call polish, meaning stop with the unforced errors that cost you games. Against Minnesota, we are driving deep into their territory,
Oh God.
and there's a miscommunication on the snap that pushes us back to like the 37 or whatever yard line, making us attempt a 50-yard field goal. We lose that game. Against Iowa, it's 31-28 in the fourth quarter. Athan throws a pass, it gets tipped, intercepted. And then against Penn State, not only the drop ball, okay, that Athan had, but we didn't get it on 4th and 1. And then on 3rd and 26, we get a penalty that allows Penn State to run out the clock ultimately.
And
If
you know what? You might think we're harping. You might say, "Oh, the guys who made these mistakes are not on the team anymore." But if you don't learn from history, it's bound to repeat itself.
Yeah, I mean, we finished 5-7, but if you look at some of the plays there, that if they had not happened, we could be sitting here at 8-4. So polish is critical. Number two, trenches, man. Greg Schiano is known for physical teams. We've got to win the line of scrimmage. On the defensive side, it was a disaster. On the offensive line, it was inconsistent. And the last thing is in-game play calling. I want to see more adjustments, and I don't want to see kind of fake field goals on 4th and 8, and plays like that have a low probability of success. So those are the three things I think are important, because the little things do matter, and the little things can make a difference between 8-4 and 5-7. And what happened against Minnesota, against Iowa, and against Penn State shows you those were 3 wins that could be in the 3 games that could be in the win column that were in the loss column.
Absolutely. And we were talking to Pit Snipe Husker in the chat, and we were talking about his quarterback. And here he is in the chat waiting to get on. So Pit Snipe Husker, welcome aboard this team.
Pit Snipe,
how we doing, fellas?
Always good to hear from you, man. Thanks so much for calling in. How's it going?
It's my pleasure. It's good talking to y'all. It's a little cold here, but it kind of warmed up today, so I can't complain.
Is that what the "it's crazy out there" is referring to?
Oh, it's portal season. I mean, the coach's carousel barely slows down a hair, and here we go with portal season.
Yeah, college football is. I mean, I was talking with my friend about this. It's by far the most chaotic of any sport, let alone any level of the sport.
Yeah. Oh, it's nuts out there right now, and I mean, Dylan's departure is just one of the oddest things I think I've ever witnessed. We got to start off with singing the kid's praises. I mean, he's a great kid. He's a great leader. He has peer recruited his butt off. Mm-hmm. He's a great locker room guy. He's a great student. He supports the athletic department by going to almost every freaking event they ever ask him to go to. At the same time that all of that is true, man, I'll even Adam Carricker. His point was, well, it seems kind of like Dylan was kind of anchoring Matt Rule down. I'm paraphrasing there, but that's the gist. So it's an odd time, man. I don't even know what to make of it.
Yeah, I was really surprised that he entered the portal, because, he had a lot on the starting job. I thought he was much better this year. And I think Nebraska is going to keep getting better and better. I thought it was a good fit for him.
It was.
And I thought he was loved by the fans and so I don't know why he went into the portal, and I'm not so sure where he's going to land is going to lead to a better situation than he was at. So very big surprise. Now it's TJ Latif's team, and TJ did show some bright spots as a freshman, but I do think Ryle is a loss for the Cornhuskers.
Yeah, I mean, he had Mahomes coming to his games, meeting with him, dapping him up, taking pictures. He was culturally a perfect. Like, I can't think of a Nebraska quarterback in recent years that has carried a team's marketing like he has.
Oh yeah, and I mean, they're our neighborhood team, man. We're Chiefs fans around here. A lot of people are Chiefs fans around here. So yeah, he takes a lot of slack for looking like him and the broccoli hair and all that stuff. But All in all, yeah, he's been a great kid. I think at the end of the day, we come down to uh, moving on from Satterfield's pro style sort of offense that we just can't seem to get the offensive line to block for, and isn't necessarily what Holgerson wants to run. He wants to get people spread out. He wants to go to the green, throw the ball, get the ball to the green. And I don't think that's the style of quarterback that Dylan Raiola is.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So you put in the comments, Penn State is a maybe, but Indiana just makes sense. This is for Dylan Raiola, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
With Dylan Raiola and Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, his brother is a freshman, right? I believe.
Yes.
So if his brother is a freshman, do you think that with Signetti, Fernando Mendoza has maybe earned a little bit of nepotism for his brother to be QB1 next year?
No.
Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't keep up with the Hoosiers enough to know where the kid is at. I mean, coming into his sophomore year, he could be Johnny Manziel. He could be 1,000 kids whose names we forgot.
I mean, for a play, it looked like Fernando's little brother was going to have to carry Indiana to a Big Ten championship because that hit against Fernando Mendoza. I believe that was by Cade Curry, right? That was a rough hit. So I'm interested. It'll be interesting to see if his little brother stays around. Who I'm going to look up his name so I don't just keep referring to him as Fernando Mendoza's brother.
Yeah, I think Raiola is a perfect fit for Indiana, and I think Raiola is looking to go to a team that is going to compete for the national championship. I think he fits well in Signetti's offense. I think he's going to have the wideouts and the depth really to be very successful. So I think Indiana is going to be one of the top candidates to land him. You know, as far as Nebraska goes, Nebraska, as always, has a great defense. The problem with them this year, again, was that offensive line. But I'll tell you, when they played USC and you look at that atmosphere in that USC game, what you saw was a team that was just as good as USC and a fan base that was incredibly passionate. I mean, Nebraska's got a good future, and you can't forget hitting Nebraska's history, of course. You know, Tommy Frazier in that option with Lawrence Phillips in '95 against Florida. You know, Turner Gill, Mike Rozier. I mean, Nebraska will be back, and I think they're on their way.
So we got some ducks in the peanut gallery in this comment section talking about season is over, we quit. And then we got some retaliation. Hell yeah, go Rutgers. We'll see you in a few weeks with the duck emoji. I honestly, look, Oregon is one of my I'm not a fan of Oregon, but they're not in my Penn State, Ohio State level of hatred. I don't mind Oregon. If it was between Oregon and like an Ohio State or something like that, I'm rooting for Oregon for sure.
Yeah.
They gotta beat they're facing Tulane, right?
No, they're facing James Madison.
Oh, okay. Well, they're beating James. Honestly, Tulane is a sleeper, but James Madison is no sleeper.
No. And Pitch Snipe Husker, one question I have for you is, do you think Matt Rule is the guy for Nebraska?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, that's a very subjective question. Do I like the direction it's heading? Yeah, I do. We're rolling over coaches like Kool-Aid to Chunk, but that beats being in this situation where we've been before, and I know Rutgers been there before, where it's like, oh my God, this offense can't move the ball, and then you retain the OC. That is just torture year after year, waiting to get it right, and it's like, come on. And Matt Rule he's making the changes, and you better believe that moving on from Donovan Raiola was a huge, nutsy change to make.
That's why I'm happy that we got rid of Rob Smith, Zach Sparber, Colin Farrell, our defensive coordinator, defensive co-coordinator / linebacker coach, and defensive end coach. All it took was one bad year defensively, and they're gone. So I'm happy with that. And I believe Greg Schiano took over play calling halfway through the season too. So at least we had that prompt change. And so you're saying it's a little bit stale in Nebraska?
No, I'm happy that instead of being stale, Matt Rule is making the changes every season that needs to be made. Satterfield is one of Matt Rule's oldest, longest, bestest buddies.
Yeah.
And he demoted him. Now, mind you, our tight ends were pretty hot this year. Heinrich Harburg has been playing tight end for 15 minutes, and that kid just might go in the draft. If nothing else, he will be an undrafted free agent somewhere. And that's it. 1 year being coached by Satterfield as a tight end. He does great there. So, yeah, we paid him a lot of extra money. We paid him OC money for one season, but we were going to have to pay that money anyway. It's a contract. That's why they call it a contract, right?
No such thing as a bad 1 year contract.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think Nebraska and Rutgers are in very different positions. When I look at Nebraska, I see a team that is consistently getting better, and with a better offensive line, combined with what I think are very good coaches, Nebraska is going to be very competitive in the Big Ten going forward. Rutgers, I just don't think is at the level of Nebraska, and I think it's some fundamental things. Like they just don't have the same talent level, and I think that there's still more of a developmental program. So I think it begins when we talk about the three things Rutgers needs to do. Also, you got to get better players. But I think Nebraska is just in a different league right now. I kind of see them as middle to upper tier in the Big Ten, and I think they're going to break through under Rule in the next year or two.
Yeah,
well, I appreciate it. I think so too. I like. I can't say the fellow's last name. His first name is Jeep. Our new offensive line coach we got out of I can't remember anything tonight.
I got
Jeep Wade.
Yes. Oh wow, Jeep.
Got him out of Georgia Tech. Excited for him. Swap defensive coordinators. We're still waiting. Any minute now, man. We gotta ink that contract for is it Robinson? It's gonna be freed up at defensive line coach getting freed up out of Penn State. We're in a bidding war with LSU right now, if I got it right.
Right.
So we're gonna see some good changes. We moved on from our defensive line coach. I can't spit it out. We got out of from the Kansas City Chiefs.
I was going to say, unfortunately, your guess is as good as ours with Nebraska's staff. I mean, we know Matt Rule, like Greg Schiano.
Yeah, and the thing is,
without the names, it's important changes. It's places where we were definitely deficient this year, and by golly, we just ain't waiting around. And I mean, the minute that that whistle blew at the end of the Iowa game, Matt Rule went to work.
Yeah.
So I can't complain. Let's see how the transfer portal goes for us. I got to think we're looking for a quarterback to fill that quarterback room.
What do you think of the other quarterbacks we mentioned? Maybe not DJ Lagway, because I feel like him and LSU, like that's pretty. Like I'm not saying it's a done deal, but that feels like the link that won't be broken. I mean, it could be broken, I guess. But what do you think about? I guess your chances with him, but more so like an Aiden Childs.
We can we can match the NIL money of anybody. We have some great wide receivers. Hunter is back. Ja'Cory Barney will be back. I think the only one we lose is Dane Key, and I'm not even sure we lose him. So you got the receivers. We got our new offensive line coach. Hopefully we can put together some horses. I think we're in the bidding for anyone that Holgerson wants. And I hope to God, Jesus, and seven dwarfs that It's who Holgerson wants.
Yeah.
That's the vision you trust.
It is. It is. It's not that I distrust Matt Rule. It's just when you have an offensive mind like Dana Holgerson, I think you got to let him be Dana Holgerson.
Yeah. I also, I think Nebraska is in for a good year next year. When you look at Nebraska's schedule, they start out with Ohio, Bowling Green, and North Dakota. But if you look at their home games, they're home against Indiana, home against Ohio State, home against Washington. They're away at Illinois, Iowa, Michigan State, Oregon, and Rutgers.
Ooh, we face off against you guys next year.
Yeah, and there's only one road game that I think is going to be very challenging for Nebraska, and that's Oregon. The other road games are all winnable. And look, when you have Ohio State and Washington, Indiana coming to Lincoln, I think you're going to see one or two possible upsets there.
It's great having a home field advantage. I mean, if we can get anyone in Lincoln and if we can play around with the scheduling, we do like our night games in Lincoln.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It puts us in every ball game there is. We just really got to get the trenches shored up, and then we're ready to play with everybody.
I agree. I think I can see Nebraska with 8 or 9 wins next year. Now, Rutgers, I see another 5-7 season.
Well, I actually think we're gonna be vice versa, around 7-5, just because our schedule next year is a lot easier than this year. And if KJ Duff and Ian Strong can come out of not nowhere, but sort of like from the ground up, and Antoine Raymond too, Ethan have a drastic leap, why can't we be like 80 to 90% of that offense? And defensively, it's pretty much impossible to get any worse than it was this year.
Yeah.
How was y'all's recruiting ranking in this cycle? I didn't pay attention.
Like 30 something, I believe. Pretty
believe-
solid.
I
What's in
believe,
the hunt?
yeah, I believe we were in the 30s or 40s. But I don't know. I think what happened is we got about 21 recruits, and I think 20 of them are 3 stars and only 1 4 stars.
Yeah.
Well, so I think right now we're 39. So one thing that's always concerned me is I want to see more 4 stars. I want to see more, maybe 1 or 2 5 stars, because Iowa does a fantastic job at developing the 3 stars. We don't.
Yeah.
That's why I think that's why I said we need better players. And
We developed the 3 stars on offense very well this year, though.
Oh, we did.
Antoine Raymond, I believe, was a 3-star. I believe KJ and Ian were either 3 or 4. Most of our offensive line was 3 stars, and our offensive line was never a problem except for tackles this year. But often they're not the problem.
That's true, but I think as a team that is filled with 3 stars, like when I look at how we develop ours, and I look at how Iowa develops theirs, it's just such a difference. And so I guess what I'm saying is I think there's a lot of problems that Rutgers has to address, and I hope they're able to do that, but they're not in the same stratosphere right now as a Nebraska or an Iowa.
I think in order to address those problems, we need to prevent other ones from emerging and retain Antoine Raymond and KJ Duff.
Yeah, damn right. But
really, in this past season, though, hasn't I seem to recall reading, hasn't Rutgers finally getting their NIL money together and their collective and
so they have
getting that house in order?
They have a new NIL initiative. It's called our NIL, which with our new athletic director Kelly Zinn, she had the same thing over at LSU because she was an athletic director there too, and it was called what was it? It was LSU NIL or something like that.
Yeah.
Or LSN, something like that. And
whatever it was, I'm sure it was spelled like hell, but go on.
Yeah, it's not quite as easy to flow that one together as RNIL. But so I mean, and also it helps when Greg Schiano, after losing against Minnesota, basically calls out the entire athletic department and says, I'm the only one paying money. So I really think the whole time we didn't need to start some new initiative. What really was the difference was it was like an organizational issue because Shiano, for instance, thought he was the only one donating. And if you're a donor and you don't think anyone else is going to help, what's going to get you to start donating? So that was the issue. So our NIL was really just Kelly Zinn launching something conveniently the day after Shiana went on some rant, which I do think was coincidental. And it was just her saying, let's all use this budget to donate so that we can hold each other accountable.
Well, in all fairness to Shiano, the last few years he's been dealing with a very difficult situation because we haven't had the NIL money to be competitive. And if that's not there, then it's just not going to work for the program. But Kelly Zinn is the former athletic director at LSU. She comes from a championship pedigree. I'm confident she'll get things in order to make us competitive.
Absolutely.
There's certainly money there. And I mean, that's where I think in Nebraska, we got a little advantage. Because we were stinking so bad and we were moving on to Scott Frost and it was a real transitional year. We were way out ahead of NIL.
Yeah.
And also you guys always had a killer volleyball program too.
Oh, them poor gals lost this weekend, bro. It was a heartbreaker, man.
Yeah, and the one thing is this that kind of always gets me. It's like, Gabe, when you think of Nebraska is Nebraska. You think Tom Osborne, you think Turner Gill, you think those national titles and when they destroyed Florida in the national championship. I want to see Rutgers build a reputation. And that's where I think we're struggling too, because we had a great year in 2006, but historically, people are not going to come to Rutgers unless they believe it's a winning program. And that's where
we get one or two homebodies in New Jersey that are top in the nation, and they're sick and tired of Rutgers being bad. Similar to Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper in basketball, even though they were unsuccessful, they were still 5-star recruits. But I have someone coming in who is a Scott Frost defender, and that is none other than I can't get this. There we go. Exploring with Ben and Sam, Mr. Benjamin. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm not trying to interrupt your mojo, but I will not have any disparaging comments about Scott Frost. He was amazing as our OC. That's all I'm going to say.
People in Eugene, Oregon always have to have different takes. But I will say that he's right about Scott Frost. I mean, certainly he was great. I have to tell you something, Ben. I don't know why it didn't work out with him as the head coach of Nebraska. That surprised me. I thought he was going to really be a perfect fit for that program. Pittsnite Pusker, what do you think?
I certainly cannot disparage anything that Scott Frost did as an offensive coordinator at Oregon. Criminy sakes. That's the reason why he was the hottest ticket out there. I think it was oddly an adult man maturity issue. We had the same thing when Tom Osborne handed down the reins to Frank Solich. Yeah, the focus wasn't there on the product for a lot of all these distractions. And thankfully, God bless Frank Solich, moved on, got his poop in a group, and was a hell of a coach for Ohio. And maybe Scott Frost will too. He didn't have a great year at UCF this year, but somewhere in there is a hell of an offensive mind.
Yeah, he was fantastic at Oregon. And you just look at Oregon. What Oregon has done over the past 10 years. I mean, in the former Pac-12, USC used to be, a place where –
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who?
USC used to be a place where the recruits wanted to go. Oregon has overtaken them in California, and now Oregon is really just such an elite program with a fantastic head coach. And let me tell you, they have a chance to go really far in the playoffs. And Scott Frost, I hope he does succeed because he was a great OC, and it just didn't work out at Nebraska. But I think Nebraska right now with Matt Rule and with their staff, I do think that they are headed in a direction where they are going to be in the college football playoffs sooner rather than later. And I'm not so sure that Dylan Raiola is going to be such a huge loss for Nebraska. I think that you may see Nebraska even be more effective offensively, especially if the O-line gets better. So with the schedule they have next year, Nebraska is going to be good. And Oregon, of course, look, they just have – they don't not only have the players. They have the coaches, they have the scheme, and they are going to be a powerhouse. And I suspect Oregon wins the national championship within the in the coming years.
Let me ask you, Ben, have you done any film on JMU yet? Are they even a concern?
No, he hasn't done film on JMU.
What film am I going to watch on JMU? They run the ball a lot. That is what they do. JMU loves to run the ball. Tomorrow night on our Tuesday night show, we have the radio personality of JMU, Dave Riggard, on. Mm-hmm. He does all the radio calls, basically. So he's going to give us a real deep dive. But, I mean, why do you think the line is minus 21.5?
I was going to say, who do you think would win between JMU and Rutgers?
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, that could actually be a pretty wild game. I mean, I'm not discounting or dismissing JMU. You can't do that because statistically, defensively, they're actually a really good team. Statistically, if you look at it across the board, mm-hmm. Then you have to look at the competition, though.
They were good last year too.
Yeah, so
JMU's a really good team. I mean,
if they play the game right. And just have a couple things fall their way, they could make it a lot more, I guess, stressing for Oregon.
We only beat Ohio by 3, so.
I have a lot of respect for JMU as a school and as a football program. I just don't think that they're a top football program at the level that they're at. I don't think they're on the level of an Oregon, and I think that putting them in the playoffs deprived other schools that were more deserving, such as Notre Dame, even.
See, I agree.
You do not bring up. You do not. Notre Dame lost the only 2 important games they had. They lost them. Go away.
I was going to say I agreed with that at first, but seeing how Notre Dame has handled not being in the playoffs, get them the hell out of FBS, man.
I'm surprised Jordan Love didn't boycott the Heisman too. I'm just gonna sit this one out.
Speaking of how Notre Dame has handled things, we should talk about how Diego Pavia has handled things.
He has been worse than Notre Dame for sure.
What a douchebag! I'm sorry, what a douchebag!
Everyone in this conversation is just happy he ain't our quarterback.
Yeah.
Listen, on the field, he has all the right to be cocky. Off the field, holy crap, is he a pain? Is he a headache?
Voters? Are you crazy?
Yeah. No, that's insane. I think that is worse than – it might be worse speech than anything Manziel ever did, anything Shador ever did. Like, that is really bad speech.
Even Dante Moore would not say something like that.
Where did Pavia fall in the list? So obviously Mendoza definitely was.
I think he was second, right?
Yeah.
Was he second?
Mendoza had like 22.
Surprisingly, it's crazy. I don't think Sayan got a first place vote, and Sayan was to me the second best quarterback this year.
Oh, statistically, by far.
And the fact that he was undefeated before the Big Ten championship.
I thought it was going to be Mendoza, Sayan,
yeah.
Maybe Pavia. You could flip Pavia.
I was going to say the same thing, but surprisingly, Sayan was not second or third.
It was Mendoza had like 2,200 points. Pavia had like 1,400. Then there was a big drop off.
Surprising that Pavia was that close. He's saying F the voters, and they had him that close.
And then he had that sign afterward he went partying. It had like F Indiana on it or whatever.
Jason, that's what this is about. Is Pavia after the award ceremony where Mendoza won, he went out partying and posted a video of him with women drinking and said F the voters without it being F, obviously.
It was like F the voters and something like, but here's to family or something.
Yeah.
And then he posted something the next day apologizing, saying,
I didn't buy it.
I'm a competitor, and as always, I want to win. So obviously I wanted to win the Heisman. It's like, no, you just dug your hole deeper. But
I mean, you can't argue that he's talented, but off the field, train wreck. And not train wreck in his own life, train wreck of handling media.
Yes. And Pitt Snipe Husker, who's Nebraska playing in the bowl?
Utah.
Ooh,
Oh.
okay. That's a good game.
Whittingham's last game.
Man,
Oh, yeah, that's right. See, I would have Utah win that, but it's a good game.
What's your prediction for that, Pitt Snipe? That's a tough one.
man, we don't need all that heat. Whittingham's last game, and Utah is great at all the stuff we stunk at. So, yeah, I'm hoping that these new coordinators move in, or assistant coaches move in, coordinators move in, and we just do something different, and we make it a bowl game. Frankly, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. And I think that Oregon, after JMU, Oregon's going to have – who's Oregon going to be playing?
Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think Oregon Texas Tech.
The Orange
Oregon,
Bowl,
Texas
in the
Tech
Orange
is
Bowl.
a good one.
I think Oregon gets to the semis.
That's such a 50-50. I know that Oregon would probably be favored.
That's just the most insane matchup for the Orange Bowl.
I was like, is it? I believe it's the Orange Bowl. That's why I'm double checking here. I kind of hesitated there. I'm like, is it the Orange Bowl?
On one hand, you have a
it
team
It would be the
that
Orange
has.
I think it is, yeah.
On one hand, you have a team that has, when they win, dominated everybody with the exception of the Iowa game that you still squeaked out. And on the other hand, you have a Texas Tech team who lost one game all year, and then they single-handedly made BYU not reach the playoffs because BYU was undefeated.
Twice. It's like twice. No, they beat BYU down twice.
Yep.
I mean,
And
impressively too. Impressively.
Outside of that, BYU was 11-0. And those two games, they were 0-2. And
no, they were. I think they were both. Was it both 8? Tech was like 8-1. BYU was 8-0 or 9-0 going into that first game. They beat the hell out of them, and then they beat them again down in the championship game or whatever. Like again, like by like 20, 30 points. You know.
Yeah,
it was worse.
They made Bear Bachmeier look like a cub out there.
Yeah, you know, the best thing that Oregon did about 5 or 6 years ago is they went out and got a defense. And Oregon now, I mean, is formidable on both sides of the ball. And I just think Oregon's going to be dangerous in the playoff. I don't know if, Georgia, Ohio State, Indiana, I still think are most likely to win it. But Oregon's got a shot. Now, I'm going to predict Nebraska defeats the Utes. I think. Yeah,
they didn't have Raiola anyways because I don't know. I mean, Utah has all the pride in the world to play for. I mean, there's always the pride of winning a bowl game, and if you're a senior, going out on top or improving your draft status. But to me, 33-year head coach's last game it's just that much more pride to play for.
And he's been in Utah for
long. Let me see.
Holy hell. He's
too damn long.
Where's he going?
He's retiring, isn't he?
Yeah, he's retiring. He's gonna be a permanent fixture with Utah. He'll be some sort of administration consultant or something like the athletic department.
He's been with them
church.
He's been with them since George W. Bush was at the end of his first term.
It was like 20. He's been there 21 years. I think that was
2008, 2007,
2005 was he was hired in the 04 off season. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So I'm saying we didn't need that heat. We didn't need that heat at all.
They made you guys the public enemy that week because America with no rooting interest is going to root for the coach retiring to come out on top.
Yes, and Utah's expecting a celebration, a glorious celebration.
Similar to how everybody was rooting against the Seahawks yesterday because Phillip Rivers came back.
Our starting quarterback might be Jalen Gramstead, for all we know. The kid we got out of Division II a couple years ago.
I wonder what leaps he's taken then. He's still around.
He's a super smart kid, and he wants to be he wants to get into coaching and graduate assistant. He's a great addition to our locker room. But yeah, I think we only saw him take 5 snaps back in the first couple games of the year.
Well, look at it this way. In 1912, when Titanic set sail, they said it was unsinkable, but it hit an iceberg.
Oh my God.
Utah is going to be celebrating gloriously after the bowl game. I predict they will not. And Nebraska will pull the upset against all odds because Nebraska is tough and Nebraska is going to match Utah's physicality.
You do realize what the line on this game right now is, right?
Win, I'll tell you.
Utah minus 16.5.
It's not impossible.
No.
I'm literally looking at it because I was like, what date is that? And I'm like, holy shit.
Utah is they finished the year.
New Year's Eve.
Were they top 3 in the Big 12?
Yes, they were like number 3, maybe 4 at best, but they were
in
like
contention for playoff spot until they lost to I don't remember who they lost to.
They lost to BYU, I remember, when they were both undefeated.
Yeah, I'm sure they were number 3, solid number 3. But I didn't think that. I thought that line would be more like around 7.
Yeah, I would say 8.5 feels right.
You know what Oregon's known for this year, right? Oregon will forever be known as ripping the soul out of Penn State University.
Penn State or Rutgers?
Oh God.
Oregon ripped the soul out of Penn State, never for Penn State to be seen again. That was crushed them.
Yeah, Rutgers, you have to have a soul to begin with for it to get crushed at home like that. But Penn State, I will agree, that one did happen. Now, as you were saying, for the years to come, we have to see what the coordinators do because Chris Hampton should step in as DC. He's already there for 2 years as the co-DC. He was the Tulane DC when they beat USC several years back.
Yeah.
He should fill in, but I hear there's interest for him to go somewhere else. But if he's going to step in the full role, he should just stay and move up. OC, Will Stein's going to Kentucky. Not a shocker, going back to his home state, basically his place of origin. So who do you get? The North Texas guy? Do you promote Rashad Samples from within? Do you have trust in him as the run game? And then Stein is taking a couple co-assistant coaches with him. It's already been known because they were like with him at UTSA and then they went to Oregon with him. So now they're going to follow him. And
I think
sense,
unless your offensive coordinator is either a terrorist or Kevin Patullo, I think that you're going to have a good offensive coordinator at Oregon. It's hard not to be a good offensive coordinator at Oregon.
Go ahead.
They just play so many formations right over the years, going back to the Marcus Mariota days up to now. It seems like no matter what scheme they run, what was the ugly days of offense between that span? Like I know that you guys have been a little bit critical of Bo Nix's play at times, but even then you guys were as high as number 1 and undefeated.
And that was Kenny Dillingham's first season as a full-time OC, and then immediately he went and took Arizona State, and then the next year was first year as a full OC play caller in Will Stein. So you have those adjustment periods. The darkest year in the last 15, 16 years easily was the 2015 season or 2016 season. That was after Scott Frost left.
Well, then there you go. That's why you defend him, because you see the contrast between having him and suddenly losing him.
And where the hell did Matt Lubick go? Matt Lubick went to Ole Miss for a while, and then I don't know where he is nowadays.
I don't know either.
It's funny that Frost keeps coming up because on our local news today, it just hit that Frost is suing the university for $5 million.
Oh, no.
Huh. Matt Lubick is the Jayhawks. So he's the Jayhawks co-OC now.
Oh, okay. I mean, good for him. I have nothing a problem with him. Really, that year it was Brady Hoke was the DC, and he went from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and the defense just was trash. I mean, trash. You want to know trash?
Rutgers.
Holy hell!
Oh,
Scott Frost suing is just terrible. I mean, Scott Frost, great player at Nebraska, great story. Hate to see there's discord there, but he just didn't work out as the head coach. But, I'll tell you why I've always been a Nebraska fan, because when I was 9 years old, my dad kind of introduced me to college football. And the first game I saw was the Orange Bowl between Nebraska and Miami in 1984. And I remember watching they went for the 2-point conversion against Miami, and they didn't make it. But that was when Tom Osborne, of course, was coach. As a young kid, I was like, I just saw Nebraska as pure toughness, guts, and so I think Nebraska being good is good for college football. Now, as far as Bo Nix goes, Bo Nix owes his NFL career to Oregon because Bo Nix struggled at Auburn until he went to Oregon. And Oregon,
now he looks like an MVP candidate for the Broncos.
Yeah, well, Oregon developed him in a year in ways that Auburn couldn't do in 3.
I mean, I was a Bo Nix skeptic for the longest time, but you can only be proven wrong so many times before you finally admit that you were wrong about a guy.
Well, I'm glad Adam aged himself there with that commentary he was doing earlier. Really showed his age. At least he didn't say he became a Nebraska fan because of something to do with corn in the backstage. Something like that. At least he didn't talk about that.
One of the greatest plays I've ever seen in college football history. Pitch Snipe Husker might recall this. It was during the national championship against Florida. Tommy Frazier goes out on the option and is literally tackled and somehow gets out of it
15 times.
Yes.
There's like 15 different guys. I mean, they were coming off the bench to try to tackle him.
The beastquake of college football.
It was incredible that he did not go down, and then he ran like 45 yards, 50 yards for a touchdown.
Oh, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. I was in Norfolk, Virginia during that game, and me and my buddy from Buffalo were watching. He's a Huskers fan too. We were watching through the first half, and I mean, we were up like 49-0 at the half.
Yeah.
Steve Spurrier was crying and chewing on his visor. And we said, to heck with it. And we went down to the strip club. Now, in Norfolk, Virginia, they're all bikini clubs. There's no actual nudity allowed. And there was this gal that was like 6'2" and just so happened to be from North Platte, Nebraska. And so the three of us all sat there and watched the second half of the game, which was a farce, just kicked the crap out of them. So, yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Lawrence Phillips.
I was a little concerned where the first half of the story was going, but you brought it back. Nice.
Totally kept her PG-13, bro.
No nudity at strip club. What the hell is going on around this country?
You guys say PG-13. You talk about me aging myself. I don't know if you remember in the 80s, there used to be a rating called X.
Yes, I've heard of such a thing, mainly because of the late, great Pee Wee Herman incident.
Pee Wee Herman.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate. But look, just like wine ages well, Ben, I'm like a fine wine. I'm getting better.
Well, it's about to start aging terribly.
That's what my mom says.
She says you're gonna age terribly.
Yeah, she's like,
yeah.
age horribly. I'm like,
Adam, you are an aged, harsh bourbon in a burnt barrel, baby.
I love it, man. I'm going down in flames, but that's the only way I would do it.
Yeah. Well, it better be a nice Scarlet red wine, although that might not be the best wine to age with.
Bourbon, straight.
Bourbon and burgundy, baby.
So are you guys not previewing and discussing the amazing bowl games that we have coming up? I mean, Troy versus Jacksonville State, Old Dominion, South Florida, Louisiana, Delaware. Let's go, Delaware.
South Florida, even with their coach getting poached, I still think they handle that pretty easily.
Nice girl from Delaware.
Yeah, they're only -3, but
shout
out Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State. Shout out Kennesaw State. Going 2-10.
You know what? That might be the first mention. That might be the first mention of Kennesaw State on this podcast. So
Kennesaw State, they're nearby Atlanta here. I'm in Milledgeville, Georgia right now, about an hour and 45 minutes away. Kennesaw State. Congratulations to them for their 2-10 record and somehow making it to the postseason. But Alabama and Oklahoma is what I'm focused on.
No. State?
They went. Kennesaw State went from 2-10 their first year in the FBS. First year, this year now, the second year they are 10-2 with the conference title, or 11-2. 11-2.
Yeah, their second. They went straight from D3 too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's the same thing. 2-10, 10-2. They're Kennesaw State.
No, there's a big difference. I mean, just because they had to fill in Rutgers' spot that Rutgers vacated because they didn't.
Hey, we're
want
not
to
the
go
only ones
play a
that
game.
vacated. It was us, Auburn, Florida State. Who else? A few others.
Central
all
Florida
critters.
turned down their bid too.
UCF. Well, I would say Notre Dame, but like I said, that's not the only reason Notre Dame has handled it poorly.
I'll tell you something. As far as Kennesaw State goes, by the way, definitely a well-respected university here in Georgia. Huge student body. I know some students that transferred there. Definitely a
They
good.
were FCS. Gotcha.
But you know what I kind of feel like, Gabe, about Rutgers, and I'll make an analogy. I know people don't like my analogies, but it's like if you're in high school, right? Nobody asks you to the prom. And you're just like, oh, this stinks. I can't go to the prom like everybody else. And at the last minute, girl comes up to you and says, would you go to the prom with me? That's what happened with Rutgers this year. You don't say no. You say, yes, I would love to go to the prom.
Well, when you already threw out all your best suits, you say no.
They could have been in the Birmingham Bowl.
We had no defensive, not even like interim defensive staff. We had nobody on defense.
We didn't have him in the regular season either.
I mean, you don't go to a father-son baseball game with no dad.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, ouch. Ouch.
I'm not saying
Sponsor. What about a
whoa.
sponsor?
How
What about a
inappropriate.
sponsor or something like that? Damn.
Yeah. But you,
Jeez.
the
Yeah,
point is that
damn,
you
his orphans out there crying now, man.
the same can be said for mother or sister or brother. But you don't go somewhere when you don't have a staff.
When I was in high school, I actually
Freaking Christmas.
when I was
And
in
I
high
wish
school, I went
nothing
with my
more than
mom.
a splendid Christmas for everybody watching.
When I was a freshman in high school, I went to the my high school's family father picnic with my mom.
I mean,
I was working, and I remember.
But that's the thing. You had an interim dad for the day. We don't have an interim dad.
No, I didn't. I kept telling my mom on the way there, "Please don't do this. I'm going to look like a moron." And I got made fun of for like a week.
You know what?
And here Adam is still getting made fun of all these years later.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because you're just jealous of my hair.
I'm gonna make sure that he never forgets. Honestly, man, I know that you've been speaking about the 50th birthday thing, but you still have the perfect hairline. So shout out to that.
I appreciate it. Every human being has some redeeming quality.
But think of ugly dates at the prom, or low and ugly dates at the prom. I mean, how does because I wanted to get to a little bit with the comment on the coaching thing, because the same thing, JMU's losing their coach, Oregon's losing both their coordinators. Kind of how is that going to work with the distraction? Yeah. How does Rutgers feel still being like the ugly date that got invited to the Big Ten and yet has never made the dance floor, so to say, at all?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, if Indiana can do it, that's the only thing that we can say.
Is that more depressing to watch Indiana go like? How did they have that? That 2020 season, of course, which is kind of, I guess, you can put an asterisk anomaly. I guess you can kind of just go, okay, that's whatever that year for a lot of teams. But Indiana is historically just absolute trash.
I mean, we've never done it in the Big Ten, but we did do it in the Big East. Yeah. So at least we have that going for us. But when it comes to Indiana, I don't hate Indiana like I do with the Patriots. When I was watching the Patriots, it was Jets-Patriots Thursday Night Football, and they won. And everybody was saying, oh, my God, they drafted the perfect quarterback. They built the perfect team around him. Mike Vrabel, year one head coach, perfect fit, probably coach of the year. And I'm a Jets fan who hasn't made the playoffs in 15 years. And I'm like, they can do it like in 2 or 3 years. That's what pissed me off. With Indiana, after years of suffering, being Ohio State's, what, I at least have some sort of pride that they finally beat Ohio State, and they beat them at what at the time was the biggest stage. Obviously, there's a possible chance that they face again, but I'm proud that it's not a hateable program by any means. The only thing you can say is that Mendoza can be a little corny in interviews, but I say who cares? As a Jets fan who prays that we draft Mendoza, I say let him be our cornball.
Yeah, Mendoza's a bit verbose, but I will say that the reason Indiana turned it around is because Indiana got awesome players. They just got great players, and that's the name of the game. I mean, and so as far as Rutgers go, Ben, think of the stages of grief. There are various stages of grief, denial, and there's one stage of grief called acceptance. And I think a lot of Rutgers fans are kind of at that acceptance stage where, yes, it's frustrating, but it's just the more things change, the more they remain the same. And can Rutgers turn it around? I hate to say this, but I am not confident that we're on an upward trajectory like a Nebraska, like an Indiana. I just and it's depressing to say that, but show me evidence otherwise, and I might believe differently.
I mean, where is Kelly Zinn from? Because that's your biggest defense whenever anyone says Rutgers doesn't have a future. You're like, Kelly Zinn, she was from LSU. She was the athletic director at LSU.
I sound like a broken record when I say that, but my only concern about Kelly Zinn is she going to want to stay here after a few years?
Sure.
You know, I mean, that's what scares me. I hate to say that, but
Do you think that she wants to be viewed as a quitter?
I don't think she's going to care about whether she's viewed as a quitter. I think she wants to be part of an elite program. And when you come from a place like LSU, it's very tough to go to a place like Rutgers.
Yeah.
Even for a more important position, I think she needs to see improvement. And when I look at our roster and I look at our schedule, I don't see it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
The one thing she has at Rutgers that she doesn't have at LSU is leeway.
Yeah, that's true. And boy, the party really died because of that depressing outlook. But hey, I'm going to tell like it is, and I just think
maybe you will have some bourbon tonight. Think about these Rutgers stories.
All you have to know is, look, it's the end of the regular season, right? That's done with. Rutgers is not exactly, they're not like in the worst shape of a lot of other teams. There are a lot of other teams that are going to be like, we're not even doing the show tonight. You know, we got nothing to talk about. Like, whatever.
I'll tell you a bowl game I would have liked to have seen. Rutgers, Mississippi State.
That would have been a good one. Honestly, to me, the team that gave me the most hope this year was Northwestern, who before the year started, they were bottom 2 in most power rankings in the Big Ten, and they finished the year 6-6, 4-5 in conference play.
Yeah, and beat Penn State.
They were the nail in the dagger. I mean, Oregon was the momentum changer for Penn State, but Northwestern was the nail in the coffin.
Oregon was the electric chair. And then Northwestern was the guy who pulls the thing.
You know, while you're on the topic, none of us should be happy that Fitzgerald is at Michigan State. That dude can coach.
Yeah,
that's a good.
I'm surprised. Why is Aiden Childs leaving?
He went to Michigan State for Jonathan Smith. So when Jonathan Smith got fired, which I was a little surprised they did after year 2. I think he was just like, screw it then.
I get it.
Too.
But I don't know. I mean, he did it after they hired Fitzgerald, though. Not like when it was any sort of uncertainty. Like
maybe he was just waiting to see for sure who it was going to be. But Fitzgerald, that's a great grab for Michigan State. I think that's a guy, he got screwed at Northwestern at the end. He got vindicated as a saying that never happened. Now he's getting another opportunity. You know, I think that's a great grab for Michigan State.
Yeah, and I think Aiden Childs is probably like new coach, disruptive, may not start, but I think that he is a great coach. Michigan State could be a contender. I think college football is going to change, you know, year to year, given all the chaos. You know, there are going to be teams like in Indiana that come out of nowhere, but the ingredients for winning championships remain the same. Indiana brought in a great coach and awesome players. So you can throw all the NIL and all the other stuff around, but at the end of the day, how good are your players? And do you have the coaches? And Indiana brought in elite players. And
the Signetti extension pretty much guaranteed that they're going to be a powerhouse for years to come.
Yeah.
Like that's an extension that takes you past Mendoza. It takes you past, 2 years of one loss combined.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see teams like Indiana and then to see teams like USC that have the resources, that have the talent, but don't get it done.
No. for the last 11 years. It's next year. USC. It's next season for USC. It's next year.
And I
This
thought
year.
it's
It's
every year.
next year for USC. It's next year. You as a you almost got me on a rant there about USC.
He did a little thing called rage baiting.
Yeah, I have to control myself there for this show.
I am not a rage baiter. I am a rage hater.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. USC just constant excuses and didn't. There, USC is one of the programs that are the most denial, maybe of any program there is. Like, no offense to like Nebraska. Nebraska is kind of like, okay, as long as we're improving, awesome. After the last 10 years or whatever.
But Nebraska is different from USC because here's the problem with USC. USC thinks they can get flashy skill players and just run past everybody and score too many touchdowns and win games. It doesn't work that way. Nebraska is the opposite. Nebraska builds from the inside out. They build physicality. They are tough in the trenches, and that is what builds great programs. USC is the opposite. They think we're just going to run really fast.
And that's a great point, Jason. That's a beautiful point. Is USC the Miami of the Big Ten?
Yeah.
They both think they're amazing, but remember, and I love to shout this out to Miami fans. You have never won the ACC.
Yep, you weren't
Still have never won it.
You weren't even in the ACC championship. Duke was 7-5 on the year.
And when did the Big East fall? 2003, 4, 5?
It was like later than that, wasn't it?
8 or 9, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we went our good.
But
season
Miami left in 2001, 2002.
Yeah, the year that they had like The Rock and everyone else, I think.
Something like that. No, The Rock was on that squad back with Warren Sapp.
Oh, the
94, 95. That 2001 squad was who had half the dang NFL in it.
Yes, and I want to congratulate on this show. I want to congratulate Miami for winning the national championship against Ohio State in 2002 because they did. That pass interference call in overtime was absurd. That gave Ohio State life. Miami is the national champions.
Good job. That's our one. That's our one claim to fame for the last 22 plus years.
No, it isn't. They had Vinny Testaverde. They were giants.
Jesus.
They had Rusty Medeiros. You guys probably don't remember him, the defensive end for Miami. They were great.
See, I think the problem is Donna Shalala doesn't know how to build a football program.
I agree, 100%.
Adam, take us home. I got a parlay on Monday Night Football.
Okay.
I got pissed too. So
first of all,
here.
Yeah, Pitt Snipe Husker. Ben, thanks so much, guys, for joining the show and for your comments. We really appreciate it, as always, man. Great talking to you. And look, as far as Rutgers goes, I hope I'm wrong and the future is bright. I think that there were some flashes of greatness, and hopefully we'll see Athan in the NFL next year, and possibly Ian Strong, who's very talented. We wish them the best of luck going forward. Got to shore up the trenches, get a better roster, and have that polish so we avoid losses like at against Minnesota, Iowa.
And take your time with the DC search because we got it wrong last year.
Yeah. So with that, thanks again for Pitt Snipe Husker and Ben for calling in. A big game for Oregon coming up, which they will win by 150 points. But, we'll be back here, of course, throughout the offseason, every Monday at 7 p.m. And
if they lose, it's your fault.
Yes, if JMU beats Oregon, I'm going to fly to Eugene, and I'm going to finally meet Ben and Spaz and say, what the hell happened?
They won't let you on a plane.
Well, how'd you know that? You knew I was on the no-fly list? No, just kidding. But we'll be back here every Sunday. And got to give a shout-out to Ben and Spaz for their show, Clacking Off, which is quite entertaining. And, every week is usually Sundays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Pitt Snipe Huskers, stay warm. I know it was 18 degrees in Nebraska yesterday. So, but always great talking to you guys. And go Scarlet Knights. We'll see you back here.
Go Scarlet Knights. Go Ducks. Go Cornhuskers.
Bingo.
Big Ten unity.
Take care, y'all.
Take care.
See ya. It's just me.
Okay, so I am trying to. We had a little bit of a computer glitch here.
I got you.
Great discussion with them.
I got you.